Good day, viewers. My name is Sherry Posho-Oreko. Welcome to our program 1 of our computer studies series for grade 9. Our topic for today is on algorithm, which is part of computer programming. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to, number 1, define what is algorithm, distinguish between pseudocode and flowchart, define variable, and lastly, write a symbol algorithm. We're living in the 21st century where technology is the order of the day. Electronic devices such as laptops, smartphones, tablets, and iPads have made our life much easier. Have you ever wondered how a cell phone works? Or how does software or apps we download and install operate the way they do and solve our problems? You may be wondering as to how does software or apps have to do with computer programming? Well, another word for software is program. A program is a set of step-by-step instruction that directs the computer to do the task you want it to do and produce the results you want it to produce. Now, programming is a way to instruct the computer to perform various tasks. Instruct the computer simply means that you provide the computer with a set of instructions that are written in a language that the computer can understand and for it to carry out those instructions. Now, what then is the relationship between algorithm and computer programming? One may ask. Now, one can think of algorithm as a method or a recipe that describe the steps that are needed for a computer to solve a problem. An algorithm is a step-by-step solution to a problem. It is defined as a problem-solving procedure or a method that shows the step involved in solving a problem. Right. Now, do you know that we can use algorithm in our everyday life or day-to-day activities? Let's look at the examples of algorithm in everyday life. Number 1, making a cup of coffee. 2, baking cakes. 3, making your bed when you get up in the morning. Buying food from a tuck shop. Now that we have defined what an algorithm is, we need to learn how to write one. Now, before we write an algorithm, there are important points we need to take note of. The first step is the algorithm must be clearly defined, or it should make sense. The second point to take note of, step to solve the problem must be put in a correct order for it to produce a result or a desired result or a correct outcome. And lastly, an algorithm should terminate or come to an end. Before you write an algorithm, you first need to analyze the problem. This will help you to determine what is your input, what output you will get, and the process involved in producing the required or desired outcome. Right. Now, let's start with input. All right. These are raw or unprocessed material or data that can be used to solve a problem. That's now the input. Let's look at the process. All right. Now, the process, this is when you are converting your input in to produce an output. Process happen in step by step, and it is important to understand the order of the process. Output. This is the result that you get after solving the problem. Let's do a simple example. Write an algorithm on how to make a cup of coffee. Now, before we take this problem, we need to identify our input, process, and output. Now, our input in this scenario is number 1, sugar, coffee, and hot water. Now, let's go through the process. The process will start with step number 1, using a teaspoon. All right, you put the desired amount of coffee into the cup. Step number 2, pour hot water that has just been boiled into the cup with coffee inside. Good. Step 3, add some desired amount of sugar, say for example 3 teaspoons or so. Now, it's important to know that step 2 and step 3 can be interchanged. Step 4, stir well. And then step number 5, enjoy your cup of coffee. That's your process. The output is cup of coffee. When writing an algorithm, it is very important that you follow the required steps. If not, you will have an undesired outcome. Let me give you an example. Say you are baking a cake. Now, while you are mixing the ingredients, you forgot to add the eggs. You bake your cake and remember that you forgot. Now you want to add the eggs. That means you will have an undesired outcome because you did not follow the required steps. In programming, algorithms can be represented in 2 ways, through pseudocode or flowchart. Pseudocode refers to the step-by-step solution to an algorithm that is written in sentences or statements. It is the simplest way of solving a problem by using text-based English-like words and mathematical operation to describe a set of instructions. A flowchart. This is a graphical representation of an algorithm. It uses different symbols to represent a step-by-step solution to a problem, and each symbol performs a specific task. The last item we need to look at is a variable. Variables are very important when it comes to writing an algorithm. A variable is the same as a placeholder in mathematics. This is any name that is used to represent a number or a quantity of unknown value or a piece of text. You see, a variable should make sense and be closely related to the problem that has to be solved. Let's look at examples. Number 1, a sum. 2, age. 3, number. 4, gender. 5, total or count, etc., etc. Now, viewers, before we conclude our lesson, let us have a look at what we have learned about algorithms. An algorithm is a step-by-step solution to a problem. We use algorithm in our everyday lives. Before you solve an algorithm, you need to identify your input, process, and output. The order of steps during a process is very crucial, very important. If not followed properly, the algorithm will produce undesired results. Algorithm can be represented using pseudocode or flowchart. Variables are placeholders used to represent a value or unknown quantity. Viewers, before I sign off, I would like to ask you a few questions to think about. Number 1, define what is meant by the term algorithm. Distinguish between pseudocode and flowchart. Explain what is meant by variable. I hope this lesson was very informative. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch. Until next time, goodbye.